Yes, hello, hi. I somehow had my microphone plugged in such a way that it was crackling like crazy right here, but then I realized that it was in the shot and I moved it, so then the crackling stopped. So this is me introducing the video. Hello! We are here to talk about my goals, projects, ideas for reading in 2023, so back to the video. So, two kind of Instagram-based events that I want to participate in are reading 20 books by Black women, which is something that was started a couple years ago, I believe, by Melanated Reader, and this is just a goal to read 20 books by Black women, and so I am starting this one now, and to be honest, I think that this would be a good goal for me to just have every single year to continue to fill out the tracker just to make sure that I am proactively reading books from Black women. This is not like an event so much as just a tracker, so yeah. The next one is more of an event, and that is the Jamaica Kincaid read-along hosted by If This Is Paradise. And this is just going to be a reading all of Jamaica Kincaid's works. I believe that she's planning to have newsletters and potentially events or talks along with the read-along, so that will be really, really great. I have only read one of Jamaica Kincaid's works before, A Small Place, and I absolutely loved it, so I am very, very excited to keep reading her work. She pretty much immediately went on my list of people that I would like to read all of their work, so this is perfect, and it is a really well-paced readathon. She is putting some of the books over 2 months, so the first few months you'll be reading one short book each month, and then if it's longer than I think she said 200 pages, each book is spread over 2 months, so it will take longer than 2023. I think it's 2023 and 2024 to read all of them, but yeah, even if I don't necessarily exactly keep pace, I am really, really excited about this event and reading these books, and I think that it will be really, really great. And the host is so, so great. I have talked to her several times on Instagram, and she's just very, very kind and interesting, and yeah, you should follow her if you have an Instagram. Then I have a goal to read all of my unread books. I know that this is a very common thing, or at least a very controversial thing. Like, some people are like, oh, I could never do that, and other people, are making an attempt to read all of their unread books. But basically, I had many, many unread books, I think over 100, a couple years ago. I think it was 2019 that I counted them and started trying to read all of them, and in 2020 I got that number down to about 12, and ever since then it has been kind of slowly rising back up. I am guessing that I have somewhere around 40 unread English books right now, and that will probably go up with Christmas, and so I honestly would like to zero out my TBR and then maybe start keeping only a handful, probably less than 5 unread books, but regardless, I really, really want to clear out these because some of them I have had for quite some time, and they are books that I'm very, very interested in reading, but I just haven't yet. So I will be counting all of my unread books and starting to work on that after the holidays, and I am very excited about it. I'm also a little bit nervous because I tend to get reading slumpy when I really, really focus on my unread shelf. So I am not strictly doing this. I'm still able to get books from the library. Potentially I might even still buy books. I'll just try to be very, very aware of the fact that if I add a book, it means I have to read it really soon. So at this point, I am definitely planning to do this with my English books, and I kind of would like to do it with my Spanish and French books as well. I'm not uncomfortable with the amount of unread books that I have in either of those languages, but I don't want it to get to that point, and I know that there are some books that I have in Spanish that I am going to be decreasingly interested in reading as my Spanish gets more advanced, like Charlotte's Web and Winnie the Pooh and that sort of thing. So I would at the very least like to read the vast majority of my unread books in Spanish, so we shall see how it goes. Speaking of Spanish, I would like to finish my Spanish reading challenge, which is reading around the Spanish-speaking world. I am trying to read one book in English and one book in Spanish from every Spanish-speaking country in the world. I am at about 5 in English and 3 in Spanish, I think, and there are 21, so that has quite a ways to go, but obviously I will have the whole year to work on it, and so I think that I will be able to complete that, but you know, I'd like to make significant progress, if not complete. I mentioned earlier with Jamaica Kincaid that she is an author that I would like to read all of their works. I do actually have a lot of authors that would fall into this category. That's something that I'm kind of interested in making a video about, and like possibly tagging people to also talk about that. I don't know if that's already been something that's gone around, but I think it's really, really interesting to see what authors people are prioritizing to read their entire, you know, bibliography or whatever. I would like to read at least one book from this category per month, which if I'm doing the Jamaica Kincaid readathon, that should almost completely take care of this, but maybe another one beyond that, because, you know, if I don't start making progress on this, I'm never going to read all of their works. Plus, I just keep adding more authors to this list, so I need to get busy. This kind of leads into 2 seemingly conflicting categories of goals that I have. One of which is kind of to put my head down, really focus on some really heavy reading and, you know, make progress on all these things. And so the unread shelf one would fit into that. The authors, reading all of the authors' works would fall into that. And I also really, really want to work on reading academic things again. In 2020 and 2021, I think, I was really starting to read not a lot of academic things, but the things that I read were extremely impactful for me and, you know, were almost always in my top books of the year. I still think about them all the time, so I didn't really read hardly any in 2022. None, I don't think. Although the academic things are sometimes hard to motivate myself to read, they are important for me to read, and so I really want to get back into that. Something that kind of fits into both the serious goal category and the fun goal category would be kind of reading out of my comfort zone, or not really necessarily my comfort zone, but just out of the, like, rut of reading that I put myself into, the types of books that I always read, being like literary, speculative, thrillers and mysteries, that sort of thing. I would like to read more history. I just read a fictional book that really, really inspired me to read up on the history of a particular country, and I never read history, and so that's something that I would like to get more into, reading from a lot of identities that I do not remember to prioritize, like disabled people, trans people. I always want to read more from those groups, but I just don't make it enough of a priority. And that kind of transitions us into the more lighthearted, loose, free-spirited reading goals, which would be to purposely read from some like fun genres. Like something that I have noticed, and this relates to my unread shelf as well, is that like if I'm buying books, I am almost universally going to buy books that are like serious, you know, like even though I buy almost all of my books used, usually for a couple of dollars, I'm very reluctant to add lighthearted books to my collection, you know? I'm like, oh, it's not like worth it, you know? What that results in is my unread shelf being very heavy, you know? And I think that's part of why I tend to get reading slumpy when I try to focus on my unread shelf, is that almost all of the books on my unread shelf tend to be hard-hitting, sad, literary things about extremely traumatic and often very depressing subject matter. So I want to make it a very big priority to purposely cycle in fun reads, not just when I feel like I can't possibly handle any more heavy reads, but also as like a proactive part of the rotation, you know? Like not waiting until I'm almost into a reading slump before rescuing myself. Similarly, I want to reread some favorites. Specifically, I definitely want to reread the Poppy War trilogy and the Born series by Jeff Vandermeer. I have mentioned many times before that it's hard for me to prioritize rereading when I have so many books that I want to read for the first time, and usually when I do reread, it is via audiobook. But there are books, specifically those two series, but also many others, that I want to reread physically. Like, I want to experience them as a physical read, and I know that if I don't proactively make time to do that, they're just not going to happen. And lastly, I have a list of authors that I have never read from before that I really, really want to read from in 2023. So I will put those, the ones that I've thought of, on the screen. I'm sure I'm forgetting many because I just pretty much jotted this list down off the top of my head. So there are probably many, many more, but these are at least some of the new authors that I want, new to me authors that I want to get to in 2023. So those are all of the reading plans that I currently have. There are also some ones for Spanish that I put in a video for my language learning channel. If you are interested, you can check that out, but these are just ideas and kind of points of inspiration or motivation, so I'm not, holding myself to any of these things. I think really my major goal for 2023 is to really, really fall back in love with reading, and even if I'm reading less, to be reading really, really amazing books that I feel just so great about, that are so thought-provoking. Even if I don't think that they're amazing, that they are thought-provoking or that they inspire emotion or just enjoyment. I think really for me, 2022 has not been a great reading year. There have been obviously great books that I have read in this year, like lots of them. But overall, I remember looking back on 2021 and thinking, like, wow, just an incredible reading year. And I don't feel that way about 2022. So I want to feel that way about 2023. So I'm hoping that with a little bit more intention that will happen, but intention with a large amount of flexibility, because I cannot be told what to do, even by myself. So I would love to hear your reading ideas for 2023. I may steal some of them, but definitely leave them in the comments, or if you make videos, I would love to see a video about this topic as well. So I will see you in the next video.